What do we know about Forspoken so far? We are 5 days away from the release, and a lot of people are asking themselves if this game is worth spending 70 to 80 bucks. And obviously it's only natural for you to ask yourself that when you know how hard you earn your money. And in times like this, when you can actually have better choices like Hogwarts Legacy or simply God of War Ragnarok or maybe Elden Ring, it's only natural for you to ask yourself, is this really worth it? So starting with the first thing, I want to talk about this storyline. It doesn't feel that original. You're a girl named Frey that you end up in a weird dream and you're starting to get to know people over there and to help them with their quests. This story has been told before. It's called Alice in Wonderland and it's very similar. So we can actually assume that you will be trying to befriend all the people over there and you'll be trying to help them and find a way out, or at least understand why did this happen, how did you end up over there. So it's nothing too original. I don't have high expectations about this, and I also don't blame Square Enix. I mean, that's how they thought this would be interesting, so let's go with that. The second thing I want to cover is the fact that I am walking around in this game. I'm playing the demo and I do encounter these enemies and I do encounter like these bosses, but it simply doesn't feel like there's life to them. The enemies or bosses feel like they don't have substance, mainly because they don't interact with you. It feels like random obstacles on a map. And the problem for this, the solution to this would have been to put some cinematic intros to show you the storyline of those specific enemies or bosses. Like, why do they have beef with you? What do they want from you? Why do they want to harm you? Or what are they trying to stop you to achieve? You know, like, just give some background on those. Don't just put them on the map and don't just let them attack you when they spot you. And this is the reason why the game feels like it has no flow and it's like soulless, you know, it doesn't have any soul, any vibe. Next thing I'm gonna cover, we're gonna talk about graphics. Supposedly the best. It's a PlayStation 5 game and it should be the next generation graphics and stuff like that. And I don't know what other YouTubers or content creators on this platform are smoking, because they are saying the graphics are amazing. However, I played this game on PlayStation 5. I do not own a PC because I'm poor, but I played it on PlayStation 5 and the graphics looked terrible. I mean, you have these spells, like they're very colored and flashy, but however, the environment felt like it doesn't have any substance. They put colors in your spells and you lack colors in the environment. So in this case, I would prefer to have a flashy environment because that's what I'm playing all the time, and to have crappy spells. However, they did the opposite. Because of this, the graphics looked like you're playing a game from PlayStation 2, almost PlayStation 1. I remember you that the developers from Square Enix are the ones that actually made Final Fantasy, and you can actually look up on the internet Final Fantasy 7, or you might be remembering it because you have played it. And Final Fantasy 7, which has been released years ago, a load of years ago, like since you were a kid, does have better graphics than Forspoken, which is released now in 2023. So I have been very disappointed with the graphics. Let's talk about the spells and the gameplays, because a lot of game testers, I'm not a game tester myself, but a lot of game testers and the guys from IGN said that they were playing about 5 hours and you don't have access to any beautiful spells, like you're just walking around. The game seems to be extremely challenging. That was their goal. However, instead of making it challenging, it just made it boring, because when you have a game that doesn't have any substance, when the bosses don't feel like they are bosses, they don't have a story, when Frey doesn't simply understand like what is she doing, what is she pursuing, yeah, you simply don't have things to care about. And it actually remembers me about Elden Ring, because yeah, a lot of people came with passion to play Elden Ring because they used to play Dark Souls and they had all the fan base was from over there. They understood the games. But however, even Elden Ring in the first, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes, it just seems like it's without soul because you don't have any background. However, just by reaching the merchant over there, you already get a bit of background. You get the interaction with the girl that is going to give you the bell and whatnot. So it does build the context. However, Forspoken for some reason doesn't make that. Let's talk about the nail polish that actually can buff you, your character or your spells. It will power up your character. And the reason I find this very weird is because you do have a lot of guys that are gonna play the game, such as myself. How am I supposed to feel as a guy playing a game where you're suggesting for me to polish my nails, and how the hell does that have logic into buffing up my powers? As well as, by the way, upgrading the cloaks that you're wearing, so the armor. It would make sense like in a game like God of War Ragnarok, where you can actually put some extra pieces, and that does make sense that the armor is going to be better. But how does it make sense when you're just applying a nail polish, some colors to your nails, and then you get buffed? It doesn't make any sense, especially as the cloak. How does a cloak get more powerful if you're simply not doing anything? You're just investing God knows what rocks I've seen over there. And why can you raise the health bar of the cloak? What is the purpose of doing that? Like, it didn't make any sense. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is dialogue and voice acting, which are terrible. First of all, the dialogue is pretty much useless. It doesn't make any sense. Frey, unfortunately, for some reason, the game developers thought, let's just make a character that swears like an animal, and she's literally swearing a lot. Like, she swears every like 5 minutes, and it simply feels weird. Not to mention that the voice acting is terrible in terms of the bosses. They should have more profound voices. They should have different interactions. However, the voice simply feels off, like it's not made for a boss. Not to mention the NPC voices that you meet in the game, and not to mention the fact that they lack facial expressions. Like, if they are supposed to be curious or, you know, like amazed about something, you don't see any facial expression whatsoever being modified. The characters look like they have a poker face all the time. The voice feels out of balance. And with that being said, this is what we know so far about Forspoken. The last thing I'm gonna touch, this might be about personal taste, but I simply did not like the idea of talking to your cufflink, to your cuff, like talking to a bracelet. And I know this might be personal taste because people nowadays talk to their watches, they talk to their phones, hell, they even talk with ghosts. So that might be a personal opinion. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video so far, don't forget to like this video if you think it does help you, and subscribe if you want to see more videos from my channel. Thank you so much. See you next time.